Hello, everyone. It's Rosalind here, and it's time for Real Talk Now. In church, but not present. These words ring true to many of us in our present or maybe our past. Often we may worship with an empty heart. We may be present in the building, but our mind, our spirit, is in a place that is unrelated to what is going on in the actual church building. This may be due to pressures in life, those pressures that may be too hard for us to handle. It may be because we, the believers, don't feel at home within the church walls. Or it may be because we simply feel broken inside. We are failing. We're failing at making those connections that are organic, that are long lasting, and that provide a safe place from the cares of this world. This requires an action from everyone involved in the relationship. It requires action from the church, from leadership, and also from the worshipers. We all have a part in the relationship being cultivated. Our guest tonight, Sade Speaks, and I will have an intimate discussion designed to shed light on what it looks like when we feel alone while in the church building and also in life sometimes. We will also discuss the steps that she had to take in order for peace to dwell within her. Yes. Now, before we begin our conversation, allow me to read a short poem entitled Simply the Church by Thomas Hardy. Please note that I have changed some of the words in an effort to further clarify the meaning of the poem. This poem speaks so very clearly of how someone, a minister, putting on a show, that puts on a show, and also that wears a mask in front of his congregation and in front of others, and how this can cause someone to fall or to stumble because they're not seeing the real person. And if they're not teaching, worshiping, and studying in spirit and in truth, the church. And now to God the Father, he ends, Amen. His voice powerful throughout the room to the top of the ceiling. Each listener quiet as he ends, and they are filled with emotion as they exit the room. Then the preacher glides to the office and shuts the door and thinks he is seen no more. The door swings softly ajar as a pupil from his Bible class who adores him genuinely sees her idol stand with a satisfied smile. He again doing each gesture without feeling, as he did when he spoke his sermon from the pulpit to the congregation. The same gestures, the same words, and still without meaning. Sade, please tell us, the family, just a little about yourself before we begin our conversation. Blessings.
Hi, my name is Sade. I'm a fifth grade math teacher. I have one son. Um, I love the Lord. I love doing his work. I love studying his word. I love being around his people. And I'm all for uplifting, you know, especially uplifting people, especially my generation, because we're the missing generation right now that's in the body. So I'm all for encouraging, and just showing them that, it's not as bad as it seems, the walk that is.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. The walk is not as bad as it seems. Sometimes that takes us a little while to actually understand that, doesn't it? Unfortunately. Okay.
Yeah.
So, what we're going to do, I'm hearing some background. Hold on for just a second, please. Okay. Sometimes that feedback comes through. I apologize for that technology. You got to stay on it all the time, don't we? Okay.
Yes, we do.
So, we're going to have a conversation. Like I said, Sade and I have gotten a chance to get to know each other a little before we came up here. And I'm just so excited about her journey that she's on, that she's continuing to be on. Okay. Now, in church but not present, that was a title that was brought to me, and because she had spoke in the past, I want you to tell me a little bit about that first. And one thing that you mentioned to me was soul ties. She taught me that word because I never heard the word in the content in which she presented it to me. So tell me a little bit about that, Sade.
Um, well, as far as in church but not present, my body was there, but physically, I mean, well, mentally rather, I wasn't there. I didn't really have a desire, if I'm being honest, to do anything godly or even really take my walk seriously. I've been in church all my life, so going to church was like a routine. Like I felt like something was missing if I didn't go. Um, and when I did go, like I would hear it, but it didn't resonate. It pretty much went through one ear after the other. So physically, my body is sitting in there, but my mind is on 1,001 things. It could be on what I did the night before, what I'm gonna do when I get up out of here, already making plans. I just didn't have a desire to serve God because I felt during that time that being a Christian was so boring and everything was so traditional. Like I was always told we couldn't do, what's gonna happen. We do this, how God is angry with us for not if we don't be obedient. Like it was always like painting God in this image to where he was just a scary and mean person if you didn't do what he say do. So I figured, well, I don't need me playing around with him. I might just do what I want to do because I don't want to do this. It wasn't appealing, I guess. Um, as far as soul ties, I learned about soul ties as I got older and actually started taking my faith a little bit more seriously. Um, I realized that when we are intimate with people that we're not married to, our souls is literally connected to theirs. We begin to fight or feel some of the demons that they have. We begin to like I could feel when my partner was aggravated. I could feel like some of the stuff that he was battling. I just thought, okay, maybe because we just been together for a while. But the more I got to learn about, the soul and how and why we're not supposed to have premarital sex, um, I don't know. I learned a deeper meaning of it, and it really blew my mind. I learned it from a series called Relationship Goals, by this minister named Todd, Pastor Todd. I think that's his name. He's like really big on YouTube and stuff, and he had a series on relationship goals. He asked the question, "How many people are you married to without being married to?" And I was just like, "Wow!" And he went into this whole thing about how, when you're pretty much having premarital sex, how those souls are connected, and like you begin to do things that you normally do. Now you're fighting their demons and yours because you're connecting your soul to them. Like when intimacy is like really big, it's more than what we think it is. It's much deeper than what we think it is, rather. And it don't have to necessarily be like intimate on the sexual level. You can have soul ties with the enemy because you just don't want to do everything he's provided for you just feels so good. You don't want to do what God do. You want to do your own thing. So I definitely experienced that in that period of time when I was in church, but really not present. I was very worldly and just sitting in there like, I guess perpetrating in a sense. They knew what I did. I didn't hide it. I wasn't like this person that was just really out there, but they knew that I wasn't following God. They knew I was just coming to church and I was still living my life Monday through Saturday. And here I am walking to church on Sunday because it was routine.
Wow. That's powerful. I'm hearing psychological, spiritually, and emotionally not present. And unfortunately, you find a lot of young people, as older people, people in general, that are present in the building, but nothing is being absorbed, and they have to maneuver through life because they got so much going
Mm-hmm.
on. The church is a place that we should come for healing. But if you're just there in body only, where's your release coming from? You know what I mean?
Right.
Where is it coming from? Okay. So stepping into the world, okay? Stepping into the world. Tell me about that. And then maybe I'll ask you a few questions. Tell me about when you had a encounter. Tell me about your early life and then when you got older. And I like that stepping into the world. Tell me a little bit about that.
Um, Well, for the most part, like I said, I grew up in church for the most part. Pretty much my whole life. That's all I know is church. My parents had us in church every weekend, Saturday and Sunday. We was in Wednesday nights, sometimes Monday and Tuesday. We were always doing something. But by the time I got about 17, 18, I became really curious because all of my friends were doing stuff. They weren't doing what I was doing. They were like, going out. They were already like going to teen clubs and stuff like that and dating and all that good stuff, and I really wasn't yet. I didn't really like embark on that till I got about 18. And the world is cruel. My first encounter with the world was not the best because I was really naive. I thought that everybody was honest. I thought that people were like my parents, they're just gonna tell you what it is. And I learned real quick that is just not how I go. If you're not equipped, the world will swallow you up and chew you and spit you back out again. Like I came across people who are very vengeful, like they lie, they go out their way to hurt you to get what they want. And it just wasn't a good thing. I went through a lot of emotional things in the world, a lot of mental things in the world. I did a lot of self-abuse, trying to like find myself, fit in, or just I wouldn't even say fit in because I didn't really care about being alone, but I did want to experience things. And I felt like that was life. Life was going to the club. Life was going out and hanging out. Life was being with my family and my cousin. Life was drinking. Life was trying weed. Like to me, that's what everybody else did. So I figured that was normal. So I was going to do the same thing. But I don't know. It just took a different toll on me. After a while, it kind of got boring. After a while, I got uncomfortable being in the club. I felt so out of place. Just standing there. I still remember my last encounter in the club. I was 29. I would never forget this night. Me and my homegirl were in the club. We stood there. We stood in one corner. We sparked up a blunt. We sat in that one corner. We smoked and we just watched everybody. But that she had a good time. Me, I was really in my head. Like I felt like a foreigner. And I don't know where it came from, but I just felt so out of place. And everybody who kept walking by kept asking me, was I okay? Did you have too much to drink? And I'm just like, no, I'm just realizing like this is just not my scene. Like this is not me. This is not what I do. Like it has to be more than life to just come into the club seeing the same people, you know, praying that nobody don't come in here shooting and acting crazy. I don't know. The world beat me up. And
Yeah.
I just got tired. I got tired of doing the same thing. I got tired of dealing with people who, just treated me any old type of way because I allowed it because I didn't even know my worth. Like I went through a lot and I learned a lot of lessons, a lot of lessons. I learned how to really listen to my spirit and gain some discernment and not be so gullible because I was really gullible. I was all of that.
Wow. Yeah. You know, I know some have experienced abuse, myself included. And I know that often dictated my journey. It dictated decisions that I made because sometimes when abuse is present, you don't always know your worth. Sometimes we
Hmm.
begin to question your worth. Do you have any experience there?
I do. I okay. So I had my first experience of like abuse when I was about maybe 13. That's when the sexual abuse took place. I really wasn't aware. I didn't really know how to digest that. Let me say that because by this time I wasn't exposed to anything. My parents didn't expose us to nothing stuff like that. I was really sheltered. And they sent me with a family member. So that started it. It really started like me questioning who I was. Like, why did this happen to me? Like, what do you see in a 13-year-old? It got to the point where I hated how I looked. I hated my body. I felt like my body was too grown up, and that's why grown men were attracted to it. So I dressed like a boy every day. Like from the time I hit 13 all the time I hit 18, I stopped wearing girl clothes. And my parents could not figure out like why this child don't want to. I didn't want to wear nothing that was going to show my figure. I didn't want to wear nothing that was going to bring any attention to me because I felt so disgusting and so like I felt horrible inside. I felt horrible because I felt like I should have said something, but I didn't. It was so many things going through my mind, like just trying to like I guess organize it. I didn't know really what to think or how to handle it. I just dealt with it in a sense. I kind of suppressed it and act like it didn't happen. And then as I got older, I feel like that urgency or wanting to be in a relationship or want to be with somebody, I guess it led to a lot of decisions, a lot of bad decisions when it came to men. So because my father never abused me, anything like that, him and my brother showed me love. Like they showed me how a woman's supposed to be treated. However, the first time I was touched or taken advantage of was from a family member, but he showed me the complete opposite. Because I feel like when you love somebody, you don't do that to them. And it's like when I got in the world, for some reason, I continued to attract men who did not know my worth, who talked to me in any type of way. I had one guy pull a gun on me. I was crazy too because I wasn't even afraid. I was still talking trash. Like I was really crazy, saying in my younger days, no fear. Um, and I don't know. I just continued to come across these series of men who just did not um they didn't know my worth. And I as I get older, I realize that men do know your worth, but when they see that you don't know your worth, then they play on it. That's when they go to becoming a narcissist or play with your mind and get what you want. And because I was young and dumb, it was easy to do that. I thought I knew everything. I thought I knew what was going on here in the world, but really I didn't. I felt like I bought a lot of those emotional and mental things upon myself because I was so gullible, because I didn't really pay attention or listen to what my parents were telling me. Now I listen to everything they say because they be right on point. The things they were trying to tell me, then I didn't want to listen. I ended up with a baby at 19, like because I didn't want to listen. I just thought I knew everything. And even with that situation, like even that wasn't the best situation. Yeah, we had a child together, but even then, that wasn't even all peaches and cream because again, I didn't know my worth. So I feel like when a man or anybody for that matter see that you don't know your value, they're going to treat you any old type of way because that's how you present yourself. So I went through that.
Yeah. And sometimes, too, unfortunately, they don't know theirs either.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because I truly think, too, if a man knows his worth, they're not going to, now I'm not going to say all the time. Let me back up. But I think for the most part, they're not going to abuse in those ways. A lot of times they have a story as well, and I can
Yes.
relate to what you're saying about the clothes and trying to hide things because you did not want to attract attention. And the beautiful thing of what you said is that with the clubbing and the dating, totally different world from where your parents was. They were trying to shield you, but the beautiful thing is you
Mm-hmm.
realize that's what they were trying to do. Sometimes us as parents, and you probably see it as a parent now too, our communication, sometimes we don't always get it. The kids don't always get it, you know. But
Right.
hindsight, what they say, hindsight is 2020, right? You know.
Mm-hmm.
And then those same things, we find ourselves doing the same things to our children, trying to shield them. Okay.
Right.
And you told me, you said that you did not feel comfortable. I'm going to use that word, comfortable anymore in that environment. Conviction. Okay. I heard you say that you were in the club. I heard that, but I want to go a little deeper. What was that feeling when you say conviction? Sometimes we may not want to go in the club. You're not because nobody's in here. Ain't nobody in here. Well, I don't want to stay in here. You had a true conviction. After you had that conviction, tell me what took place after that. Did you stop instantaneously, or you still tried to force it to still stay in that environment?
When it came to the club, I stopped. Like, that was my last encounter. That then, and honestly, at that time, I didn't even know it was a conviction. But the how I felt so uncomfortable. And that feeling was so strong. I just didn't want to feel like that no more. It was I didn't. I normally didn't feel like that when I come around a lot of people. But I don't know. I really felt out of place. I can't describe that feeling. It was just kind of like go home. Like this is not where you're supposed to be. And I stopped going to the club after that. I stopped going to the club. That was my last time going to the club. By the time I hit 29, I was ready. Like I really began to start seeking God. I wanted to change. I didn't want to be the same where I was. I think the main thing for me was my son was watching everything I did. And I know he was watching because the moment I really began to like seek God and go on a different path, I think he was about maybe 10, 11. He was able to recall some of the things that he remembered and how he noticed the changes in me. And all I could do was cry because I didn't realize that. Like I knew he watched me, but I didn't realize how he watched. Like he to this day he really really watches everything I do. That was the number one thing for me. I didn't want him to grow up hating women because he despised his mama. I didn't want him to grow up treating women in a type of way because his mama cared herself in a type of way. That stuff it really has an impact on our kids, whether we believe it or not. But it does. Like what we see our parents do, it impacts us. There's things that I do right now that my parents used to do. And I'm just like, wow, like I didn't even realize that. And it's just so second nature. So I didn't want him to feel that way about women. I didn't want him to despise women or feel any type of way because what his mother didn't do or what she lacked. I didn't want that. That was like the number one driving force. Like, okay, it's time for you to get together. Like he's about to be 5 and he's intelligent. He sees.
Yeah,
Can't be doing all this clubbing, can't be having these people around you. Like it's now time for you to grow up and raise your child.
yeah, I love it. That conversation that you had, did you have that conversation when you said that he realized a change in you? It's amazing. You're all right. It's amazing how these kids are so in tune, aren't they? Did you ever have a
Mm-hmm.
conversation with him to tell you some of the things? I'm not saying everything, but did you ever have a conversation with him to let him know, make, basically where mom was and where mom's focus is now? Did that conversation ever take place?
It did. It did. I think he was about maybe 10 or 11. And I went to explain it to him like, you know, things are going to be changing. I know you're used to doing this and this, but I'm really trying to get my life right. So our weekends are now going to look like this. We're not going to be more in church tomorrow. I want you to learn more about God. And then he just started pointing out, you know what, mom, I noticed you don't smoke anymore. I noticed you stopped cussing. Like he just started pointing out stuff, and I just said there like, wow, like. And I told him, I said, well, I said, continue to pray for your mom. I said, because I'm really trying to do better. And like, I just started bringing him to, everywhere we went. And I noticed that when I started playing the gospel music, having around my gospel, my church family, whatever, it's like I started seeing him picking up things. He wanted to get baptized because he seen me get rebaptized. Like and then, I had to explain to him why I was getting rebaptized, but he wanted to be a part of all that. He wanted to serve God because he seen his mama do it. Now he's 17 and he's it's like watching myself all over again, fighting that battle with trying to do right and not get too attached to the world. That's the stage he's in right now. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm terrified because I know what I went through. I don't want him to go through what I went through. Now I see what my mom and dad was talking about. Like they were terrified for me. But I know he's just gonna have to go through. I know that God's gonna protect him, that He's gonna keep him because he kept me, you know. But yeah, we definitely had that conversation. We still have conversations every now and then. He'll ask me certain questions or we'll talk about certain things when it comes to God that he has on his mind. But yeah, we do have those conversations. We still do.
Awesome. When you first stepped out of the world, I'm gonna say it like that, stepped out of the world and stepped back into the church wholeheartedly, initially, was it just a cakewalk? Was it just, okay? I'm through. I'm just going there. I'm through. I'm
No.
there now. Tell me.
Mm-mm.
Okay. Okay.
Mm-mm. I did a lot of crying. I think I did more crying than anything. You know how, like, when you really come to your senses and God began to like really work in your life, He began to show you for the first, I want to say like maybe the first year, I did a lot of crying because it was so hard for me to forgive myself. When I began to taste and see how good God really was, it used to bring tears to my eyes because I didn't realize how bad I was, like how far gone I was. Um, I don't know. I did a lot of crying. It took me a while to forgive myself. It took me a while to believe that God still loved me, that He still would bless me and do things for me, even though I was once the enemy of His. Um, it took me. I was lonely because all of my worldly friends kind of like, hey, she holy now. We can't rock with her. She don't want to go to the club. They to continue to ask me to go to the club every week. I feel like I got tried super heavy by the enemy. Like he did everything he can to make me change my mind, to try to turn me off. But I was determined to serve God. So no, it was not easy at all. I did pray for friends though. I What I learned during that season was every time the enemy came at me and took something away to make me question, am I making the right decision? I would pray and he would replace it. So he took the friends away, the Lord replaced it with friends, and I'm still friends with to this day. Um,
Wow.
he
Yeah.
removed certain family members from my life, who just was not ready to be on this journey with me. And he replaced it with people who was going to continue to support me and, root me on this journey. And then I had my siblings, this is the craziest thing. I realized that relatives and family are two different things. Yes, you are my brothers and sisters. We are relatives because God said that, the Lord allowed us to have the same mama and daddy. But when you really serving God and you get connected and that relationship gets stronger with Him, you begin to see those same people that you grew up in the house with. Sometimes you be looking at them like they're just your enemy or your op or something, because it's like the things that come out their mouth. Like my brothers, I mean, one of my brothers made a comment, well, how long you gonna do this church thing? We trying to see how long this gonna last. They thought it was, I would just put up a front, or she not gonna last that long. And it bothered me. Like I went through a lot of that, like seeing people who I thought was down for me, people who I thought loved me. Those are the ones that hurt me the most. But I'm glad that I went through all that, because all it did was just give me strength. It just kept building me up for whatever I was going to endure while I'm on this journey.
It's beautiful. Okay. You said fears, not only because your son is going through his journey now, trying to maneuver through life, but also fears of because we have things that come that we have to keep overcoming. Okay. What must you do to stay on the path? I heard you say that you had to let some people go. You had to, certain things you had to stop doing. But what do you do on a regular to stay on this path and that path where you're trying to go? Because, like you said, we have a whole lot of distractions. Tell me about that.
Um, I stay in communication with God, um, no matter how far I feel like I am or how far He is from me. Even when I'm having a bad day, even if I just sin, whatever the case may be, I'm constantly talking to Him. So it's not like, I know when I was younger, I thought that prayer was like a formal thing, like you had to be on your knees and you had to be in a certain position and you had to say certain words. But I'm learning that the older I get, the more mature I get, and the closer I get to God, I really realize that it's legit like a regular relationship. I can talk to Him at any given time, and I do that. Now when I get when the anxiety come, or I feel, or the future, me thinking about what I want in the future, what I've been praying for, the thought of it sometimes can be so overwhelming and it scares me a little bit. I pray when I feel like, I just recently got into a relationship, right? And I remember in the beginning of the relationship, I was like, Lord, I don't know, is this from you or is this from the enemy? Like I can't deal with no more counterfeits, Lord. Like I'm afraid. And the more and more I prayed to Him, the more and more He just peeled back layers and just continued to show. So, regardless of how I may be feeling, what I'm lacking on my spiritual walk, communication with God is something I try to keep. like wholeheartedly. Even when I'm not studying like that, I still continue to talk to God because He's going to find a way to respond to me. Yes, I know He responds to His word, but I'm a full believer that He definitely have vessels that He uses to come to us and communicate with us if we're not in our word like we're supposed to be. That's just my opinion. But I stay in constant communication with Him. Like that's what helps me when I get scared. Lord, I don't know what to do. Like I'm literally just gonna come out and say it. And honestly, it just gives me peace immediately. After I have that prayer, it's like my nervous system calms down, the anxiety calms down. Like, okay, I can do this. All right, you know what, Lord, I'm just gonna trust you. Like He just put that peace in me, just let me know, like, listen, you can trust me, regardless of what it is. You can trust me. I just keep talking to Him. I do that more than anything. I do the devotions and I study. I go to different Bible classes, but having that one-on-one connection with God, especially when you feel like you alone and you can't talk to nobody, that's priceless.
It's personal. It's a personal relationship. I hear you.
Hmm.
And nobody, no other relationship that you will have is the same. And it's that specialness. And no other person's relationship with Christ is the same.
Right.
I love that. Okay. Sade today, Sade yesterday, in the past. Because I see a glow. A glow. Okay. Now you tell me, and I'm saying that I've never seen her before. And I see this Sade. I didn't see that past Sade. Okay. But I still see a glow. And I don't think that's just your expensive cosmetics you have on. Okay. Okay. Tell me about that difference, that glow that I'm seeing compared to that glow in the past.
Today Sade is more confident. Um, Today Sade has a relationship with God, so I know what He can do. And that's what sustains me. It's not what I know what He can do because He has moved tremendously in my life. Um, the Sade today is more mature spiritually and mentally altogether, like just way more mature. I'm more willing to learn. I'm very real with myself. Before I would try to shy away from the things that I know I need to change and make it seem as if like, nah, it ain't nothing wrong with me. I'm fine. I don't need to change. But now I do a lot of stuff evaluations. Like if it's something that God put in my heart to let me know like you need to work on that, I'm more willing to not get offended, to not get frustrated, but accept it with grace and truly work on that. Um, I'm learning how to be I guess more of a people's person in a sense. I'm like really, really shy. It's so bad. It's really when people see me, they may not think that I am, but I'm so shy. Um, but I'm learning to overcome that too. I would just say today that this Sade is more grown up. She's more on her P's and Q's. She knows who she is in Christ. I know who I am in Christ. That's where that level of confidence come from. Before there was no confidence, there was no self worth. I didn't know who God was. I definitely didn't know who I was in God. And during that time, I wasn't even sure if I wanted to serve God. But today, I wouldn't have it any other way. I don't care what life throws at me. God is my safety net, and I know that I can count on that. I run to him now. I don't run away from him. I used to run away from him when I did wrong. I run to him now to help me, you know, okay, Lord, I can't do this by myself. I need you to help me. Like, I don't know. The Sade today is just I feel like she has a lot more learning to do, but she's more willing, um, and she's confident. And she knows she's confident in God. The God that we serve. I'm truly confident in him. Before I wasn't. I doubted a lot. 2020 showed me that I did not trust him. That whole pandemic thing, it opened my eyes that you don't trust God as much as you think you do. And that was the year that I really like dug in deep and got to know him on a whole nother level. And he showed me, just try me. If you trust me, I got you. So I stand on that now. Like I can truly say that I trust God. I'm confident in him. I know that he got me.
Love it. I love that. I so love that. So now I want to know how. What is the one thing that you want to leave with us, the family, that can assist us in this process? Excuse me. That can assist us in continuing on our steps, because I'm sure some not just myself, can relate to your journey? What do you want to leave them with?
I had to learn the biggest lesson I learned was that no matter how raggedy I think I am, no matter how bad I think I am, or what other people think of me, God is gonna always love me. Like He's gonna always be there. And I know that a lot of people say that and it sounds so cliche, but this is the season that I'm really resonating with that. Like regardless of what darts the enemy throw at me, he's always there. Don't ever think that whatever shape you're in, that God won't help you, that he won't pull you out the pits. Even if you call yourself, taking a break and walking away, you're not gonna get too far, especially when you belong to him, because he's gonna call you back. Don't ever feel like that you're not worthy enough to approach him and ask him to forgive you, ask him to help you, because he will. You looking at somebody who I feel like was the worst person back when I was in my early 20s, because I was arrogant. I didn't have no care for anybody. It was all about me. And he took someone like me with that messed up mindset and really changed me to be a different person. He changed me. I feel like I'm in my natural state. What I am now, what he made me to be, is who I really was called to be. And that when I was in the world and I was acting all arrogant and nasty and stuff, that was a facade of who I really was. So I just say that to say, don't ever feel like God is not going to be there for you, because he will, regardless of what it is. There's nothing that you can do that God won't forgive
Love it. Okay. Now, excuse me, I am suffering with the sinus stuff going on, allergy, so I apologize if I have to keep clearing my throat, you all.
you.
How
I know that struggle
can,
all too well.
ooh, yeah, it's going on. How can we get in touch with you? How, what are the platforms that Sade Speak has that we can get in touch with you, and make sure you send those to me as well in case someone reaches out, okay? Tell us how we can do that.
Okay. I have a podcast called Sade Speaks. It's on Facebook and YouTube. And my email, I have an email, is jasminereed84 at gmail.com. But I do Sade Speaks every week. And it's like something similar to your platform. It's not really a Bible study, but it's more so like the things that we deal with in life, trying to give a godly perspective on it, or some type of encouragement to help the people to not give up, whether they're in the Bible or not, whether they're in church or not. Like it's literally for everybody, more so for people of the world, because I want them to see that, God is good. Like that's just not a cliche saying. He's not this scary person. He's love. And regardless of what you go through in life, he's there. All we have to do is knock, seek.
Wow,
He's there.
he's there. Now, family, if you all didn't get her information, you can also reach out to me, Roz Green Price, Real Roz Real Talk Now on Facebook, or Real Talk Now Roz on Facebook, on YouTube, Instagram, whatever, and get and shoot me some questions. And you can also go and look at all the past episodes, and you will also be able to see this one that's going to be listed on Real Talk Now on our Facebook page and YouTube page as well. I want everyone that's on Zoom to stay right there, and I'm going to be right back. Make it a good one, family.